Hello, guys. Welcome to another interesting episode of Gist with Essay. How are you? I hope you're enjoying this beautiful Saturday. For those of you joining us on Facebook and Twitter, thank you for joining us. And YouTubers, how are you guys doing? Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's EssePanya TV. Like, comment, and share any video that you enjoy watching. Okay, so today we're still continuing on the series of abuse, and today we have someone in the house who's a survivor of abuse. I don't like to use the word victim, especially if I find that you've overcome it and you're doing better. Okay, so we have a survivor in the house. He's here to take us through her story, and the reason why I always bring on survivors to the show is to encourage other people who are still struggling with the decision to leave. All right. This is a strong woman. She's been through it, she's seen it, and she's come out of it, and she's doing very well for herself. She's going to be telling us about the fears, the limitations, everything that she went through, and all the pressures and everything, why she stayed as long as she stayed, and what finally made her come out, and all of that. So you guys sit back, relax, and you can start sending in your comments. It's better to have your comments in as early as possible, and your questions, so that we can get to them before the show comes to an end. And also remember that you can support us. You can support our show by donating generously to support the work that we're doing with victims of abuse. And you can do that through PayPal. My PayPal, the information is on the screen, or my Cashapp. Okay, guys, let's get the show started. I'm going to have our guests coming to the studios right away. Before that, okay, let me tell you a little bit about who's coming on. Her name is Jola Grace Emmanuel. She's a personal coach. She calls herself the soul doctor. Okay, I like that name. She's a certified life and trauma recovery coach. All right, and the reason why I wanted her to come on is because, a lot of people we need to keep telling people the importance of your mental health, the importance of self-love, and she's big on that. She's big on helping you get back yourself, love yourself enough, so that you know the right things to do, the right things to choose to make you a better person. Being in the wrong relationship is never the answer, and she's going to take us through that today. Hello.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to this session. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on this show today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so before we get started with the gist of your experiences, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I don't know whether it's me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm getting the echo, but I can hear you loud and clear.
Right. Okay. So hi. Well, my name is Jola Grace Emmanuel. I'm popularly referred to as Soul Doctor. I'm a certified life and trauma recovery coach. I help victims of domestic violence and abuse to reinvent themselves. And when we're talking about domestic violence and abuse, a lot of people just think that you mean someone that their spouse has abused them. But domestic violence and abuse is actually much more broader than spousal abuse. One of the very, very significant and major kinds of abuse, apart from the spousal abuse, is parental abuse. So we see a lot of people that have been through parental abuse, childhood abuse, growing up to be wounded adults who sometimes, actually oftentimes, also go on to get into another abusive relationship because their background has defined their normal. So I help people, who have been through any kind of trauma like that to reinvent themselves, to be whole, to be healthy, and, to fulfill their purpose.
Can you see me? Okay, we're back on.
Okay. Can you hear me?
You're breaking a little bit.
I'm breaking.
Yeah. Okay, viewers, please help us out. Can you hear her? If you can hear her loud and clear, she's here for you guys. So if you guys can hear her, they want to go. So please drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know that you can hear her.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, better. It's better. It sounds better now.
Okay. Right,
Okay, so yeah.
I was going to ask if you wanted me
about
to repeat, or if you're okay, if you heard the last thing I said.
Okay, so maybe the last thing that you said.
Right, okay. So, I mean, basically, I just said, let me go back to when I talked about domestic violence and abuse. It's not just spousal abuse. It can be parental abuse. It can be sibling abuse. It can be other relative abuse. And of course, it can also be spousal abuse. So I help people who have been through any kind of trauma in their past to rise from that past, to heal, to reinvent themselves, and to be the best that they can be.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you touched on parental and sibling. I like that. Sibling or guardian. Let me add guardian to it because there are some people who have to live with relatives. Yeah. So pretty much whoever is responsible for you, that has abused you. Okay, that's very interesting because I did write a book about my own personal experience with sibling/guardian abuse. Let's just put it at that. Yeah, and surprisingly, I got a lot of feedback from people, friends whom I had no idea and had similar, experiences while we were growing up as children, friends from secondary school and all of that, and I was like, okay, so it's not just me, because it took a lot to get the book out, like, tell my own story, because a lot of people, that's the thing, a lot of Africans don't want to talk about parental/siblings/guardian abuse, right? So tell me, how does that really work? Did you experience that yourself, or you just in your line of work experienced it?
No, I actually didn't. I grew up in a very, very close-knitted, warm, loving family. In fact, I say to people that it was a rude shock for me, when I got married, and, what voices were being raised at me. I was hearing words like stupid, foolish. I never heard that from my parents. In fact, I never saw my parents argue, in public. Like, they have their disagreements, they do have issues, but they don't do it where we're there in front of the children. They always, just excuse themselves, go into their room and talk about their issues there. So it was really a rude shock for me. I was like, okay, what is this? What is going on? Is this even right? When I got into the relationship, and a lot of things that I didn't expect was happening. So no, I'm blessed to have been brought up by very, very wonderful parents.
That's great to hear. That's really great to hear. So tell me about your relationship now. Did you court for long? What was the background of your relationship with this man like? Were there signs? Did you see signs, or how? Just tell us this. Was there any sweet story about, or romantic, episode in your relationship at all? How did it all start?
Well, the courting was not for long, and of course there were signs there, which at that point in time I didn't realize they were actually red flags. Of course, it's the benefit of hindsight that you think, oh, okay, this happened there, that happened there. Oh, these were actually signs, which is why I tell a lot of people that you need to watch out for those signs. If somebody shows you who they are, don't make excuses for them. Don't try to say, maybe it's because they had a bad day at work, or it's because it was raining, or it's because their dog ran away or something. Don't make excuses for them. If somebody shows you who they are, if they behave badly in a certain way, just take it as that is who they are. Because a lot of times we want to do that to just excuse bad behavior. And I normally say that abuse tolerated becomes aggravated. Once you start accepting it, it will just become worse and worse and worse until you cannot control it again. So yes, well, for me, I met this person was a pastor. I was in the choir in the fellowship. and that's how I met him. So it was a matter of you are my wife, and all of those religious stuff. And I was young, I was naive, and I felt, oh, okay. I mean, what a privilege to, be married to a pastor and to do God's work. And okay, why not? I mean, this is all about God. So I think for me, that was really like the background. And it was pretty much, I think, but about a year after that, I got married to him. So yeah.
Okay, so when you got married to him, when did this abuse start? Was it in the beginning, or I mean, you still had your honeymoon phase like every couple before you started to experience all of that?
I would say, like I said earlier on, that it's not as if people just suddenly change and become a monster. It has always been there, and it aggravates over time. So even with the benefit of hindsight, even before I got married to him, there was already abuse. Okay, so even though I did not know that it was abuse then, there were raising of voices, silent treatment, discarding you, and it started out little by little. But I think the very first time I actually realized something was wrong was when I was pregnant with my second child, because that was
Okay.
when it actually physically hit me for the first time. So it was that time that I realized, okay, something is definitely wrong here, and that was actually when I started trying to understand what was going on. And of course, I was in the religious sector, and it was all down to the devil. Just keep praying, things will change. And yeah, I just stayed with it for as long as I did until I exited.
Okay. So we're talking about the role of friends and family. How long were you in the marriage?
I was
How
in the
long did you?
I was there for 16 years.
16 years. And it
Mm-hmm.
was constant. The abuse was constant.
Yes, it was. I mean, I would say for me, it was more of psychological and verbal abuse. Verbal abuse was literally every day. I got told I was stupid, I was foolish, I was a problem. If I can't obey instructions, I should get out of his life. So that was every day. Of course, there was incidences of physical abuse as well. Okay, so I mean that wasn't every day, but that also happened. And the physical abuse usually occurs if I refuse to do something I'm being told to. But because, of course, I had learned the pattern over time, and I also, which is one thing I always also encourage people not to do, this was a mistake I made, was to cover it up. Because from the onset, I didn't even know who this person was. So I normally, when I'm teaching people in my master classes, I say there's a difference between somebody's who and their what. Okay, so before you get into any kind of relationship with anybody, find out who this person is, not what they are. So what is a pastor. That was what I married. I married his role. I married his title. I didn't know who this person was. So how do you know who somebody is? You need to find out what their belief system is, what their values are, and then check whether they align with your own beliefs and with your own values. And when I'm talking about beliefs, I'm not talking about whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, just the things that you believe in life. So somebody believes that it's okay to cheat. It's okay to, just do anything. You don't have to be hardworking. You just be smart and cheat people. Somebody else doesn't believe that. They just believe in being, hardworking, being truthful, being a person of integrity. These two people cannot work together. Like the good book says, can two work together except they agree? So you have to agree in your values and your beliefs. So for me, I didn't know who this person was. I only know what he represented, and I guess that was what attracted me to him, and that was what made me marry him. So for me, over time, I sort of protected that image for him. I thought, oh, everybody's seeing him in the particular light. I don't want them to see this bad part of him. So much so when he starts getting upset, getting angry, raising his voice, calling me names, and he says, do this one, if you do this one, I like, get out of the room, things like that. If most often than not, I will oblige because I didn't want it to degenerate. But on the few occasions where I refuse, because I'm like, why am I supposed to do that? So, for instance, there was a day we had an argument and he ordered me out of the room, our bedroom. And I was like, well, this is our bedroom. If you have a problem, you leave the room. I mean, for him, that was, how dare you? How dare you talk to me like that? And for whatever reason that day, I was just like, well, do your worst. What are you going to do? And that was I was even say that was the worst day. I had the worst beating of my life, because that day he brought out his belt and he beat me for over 30 minutes because I refused to leave the room because he was upset. And there's so many instances like that. So a lot of times before he gets to, he will say, before I do something, you will regret. When he says that statement, if you don't do what he's asking you to do, the next thing is going to be physical assault. So more often than not, I try to avoid that, again, to protect his words, which was very wrong of me at that point in time. So, I mean, yes, it happened like that for the 16 years. And unfortunately, I kept being told to pray, there's the devil, things will change.
Okay, you were being told by pastors, or
yes,
your family, or your friends?
No, actually, my family members didn't know. Okay. Because I felt, that's one thing that people also need to know about victims of domestic violence and abuse. There's a sense of shame and guilt that the abusers instills into the victim. So the abuser will tell you things like, it's because of what you did, that's why I beat you. If you had obeyed me, I wouldn't have slapped you. You are the one that made me get angry. So they say things like that to their victim. So the victim carries that guilt that they're a bad person. And that, I've been coaching people one-on-one therapy, helping them. A lot of people that have been through abuse or still in it, they are now coming out and wanting to have coaching and therapy. And I sat with someone 2 days ago, and as the lady was talking, I was, I will be taking notes. And after I was just smiling, she made like 8 sentences that her abuser says to her. And when she finished, I just smiled. I said, do you know that these words that you just said to me, they're the exact words I was being told when I was married to that man? So I said, the first thing I'm going to tell you is, you are not a bad person. This incident is not your fault. You are not delusional. Okay, you are married to a narcissist. And they use the same words. Like, get out of my life if you cannot obey my instruction. You are very stupid. You are the problem. You should be happy that I married you. They say things like that because narcissists have an exaggerated opinion of their own importance. They feel they are doing you a favor. If you are in their life, you better be happy that you are in my life. So they make the victim feel responsible for what the victim is going through. So I was overshadowed with that guilt. So my family didn't know anything about what was happening to me. So again, because we say whatever goes on in this home stays in this home. In fact, I was only allowed to speak to a very few, pastors in the church that, okay, this is what is going. And unfortunately, maybe they didn't understand what abuse was themselves. They never called it what it was and just said, keep praying. So yeah.
Okay, that's great. I'm going to touch on your self-worth, your sense of self-worth when all this was happening. But before we get to that, please, let's take a musical break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Please. I don't want to be like him, God. Please, help me. Help me! Anything, I just don't want to be like him. I don't want to be this monster. I don't want to be this person. Please. Help me. Help me, Lord. Just help me.
This song is for those who may have been through so much in their lives. Have you been through sickness? Have you been through tribulations and trials? I want you to know that God is good and He comes through all the time. He never fails. I made it. Through it all. Through it all. Through my sorrow. Through my pain, through it all, through trials and tribulations. It's been tough, it's been rough, it's been hard, oh Lord, but I made it, yes. It's not by my might, not by my power, but by your strength, oh Lord, that I made it. I'm standing here to say, I made it. Hallelujah, I made it. I made it. Oh, I made it. But by your grace, I could have been dead. Oh, I could have been lost. Could have been wasted away, but by your grace, I made it. Thank you, through it all, oh, through my sickness and through my pain, through it all, the mountains were high, the valleys were deep, you saw me through it all. Oh, it's been tough, it's been rough, it's been hard, oh Lord, I made it, oh yes, I made it, not by my might, not by my power, but by your strength, oh, I made it, hallelujah, I made it, I made
Okay, we're back, and I would like to say that song is dedicated to you, directly to you, because you made it. And I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. I feel so happy when I see people who have experienced, abuse, and they've made it out. It's not easy. I know I didn't go through domestic abuse, but I've experienced my own form of abuse, childhood abuse, childhood traumas, dealing with it for years. Even when you have left it, it's still a struggle, to get yourself back. That's why it's important that, for those of us who have survived, we try to give back as much as we can. We keep coaching people, because for some people it's not easy. You have to first live in your mind before you can
Oh yeah.
physically live.
Yeah.
I know that firsthand. You have to first live in your mind. Okay. You can even be out of the house or out, away from this person, and you're still trapped in your mind. So it's
Yeah.
important. The work that you do is very important, and I celebrate you. I thank you. I follow your shows as much as I can. And I like to bring people like you on the show to let people know that, look, there is hope. It's not the end of the world. And there's always a support system if you reach out. I had a friend who was in it for 9 years before she spoke. The first time she spoke, she told us, was 9 years into the marriage. Okay. And the signs were there as well when they were dating, but I would say that we all ignored it. All right. Even the parents, you'll be saying, oh, it's the devil trying to destroy this union. It's the devil trying to.
Yeah. It's village people.
Meanwhile, years down the line, in hindsight, we realized it was God trying to tell you, look, shine your eyes, my girl. This isn't where you should be. So thank you very much. But now I want to talk about your self of sense worth, your sense of value for yourself. You came from a family that you had strong values. You had a lot of love, okay, and all that. So you must have been very confident before you got into that marriage. And I'm sure that, somewhere along the line, something happened to that confidence and that sense of value, everything that you had been taught at home, when you started to experience these things. How did that feel for you? Because my friend actually had it. I had to keep constantly telling her, you're beautiful. You have a lovely figure. And she'd think I'm making fun of her. And I wasn't saying it just to encourage her. She was actually a pretty girl, but she didn't believe it anymore because of the things that the man had been saying to her. So take me through that. I just want to understand how you felt and how, everything made you feel.
That's so awesome. That's so powerful. The good book says, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So one of my mantras is that the prosperity of the soul is the foundation for the prosperity of every other area of your life. Okay. And when God created man in Genesis chapter 1, he said, let us make man in our own image. And man there, it says male and female, he created them. And then it says, let them have dominion. Let them have control. Let them rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the cattle. So over the animals, let them have control over. There is nowhere there that I said, let the male have control over the female, or let the female have control over the male. No, he only said have control over the animals. Now, we understand that animals don't have mind like we do. That's why we can put a lead around a cow's neck and pull the cow, or tie a dog somewhere, the dog will stay there, because they don't have a mind, they don't have a will of their own. Now, before one human being can abuse another human being, they start to manipulate their mind. That is where they start from. Because there's no way you would, if you're going on the road and somebody walks up to you and say, you're so stupid, you're foolish, and they slap you, you're going to be like, something is really seriously wrong. You call the police, you're not going to just, well, so why do then people are in an abusive relationship and somebody is saying those things to them every day, hitting them, and they're taking it? Because before this person got to that place, so the abuser started manipulating the mind of their victim. They start to tell them, you are not even good at this thing. Look at the food you cooked. There's no salt inside the food. And you're not good. You don't know how to cook. And I'm telling you because I love you. If not, I'll not say anything. And you will do something. You'll say, look at the way you dress. Is this how your mates are dressing? You look so awful. And I'm saying it because I love you. So, you know what they're doing? They are beginning to reprogram the mind of that victim. Little by little. Your mind, I say your mind is your most greatest asset. That is why abuse is demonic. Because God never intended for any human being to control another human being. God has given all of us the power of choice. That even him, God, does not meddle with. He says, choose you this day whom you will serve. You have the power of choice. So before that abuser starts controlling you, start hitting you, and you can, in some instances, which I never got to that point. Some people do have what is called trauma bonding, that they know this person is beating them and killing them. They remove them, they go back. They remove them, they go back. They remove them, they go back. I left once and I went back, but it wasn't because of the person. I mean, so many other reasons, but it wasn't because I was trauma. I was bonded with the person. It was nothing like that. But it's because this person has so manipulated their mind that they believe that that person is their life. Like everything that they are getting, they deserve it.
I agree with you.
Distorted. Which is why I tell people that never blame victims of domestic abuse if they are not understanding what you are saying, because you are speaking, it's like if you are speaking Chinese and they don't understand Chinese. They don't understand what they are saying, what you are telling them, because their mind has been manipulated. So you need to be patient with them. So of course, when all of this treating started, I studied accounting as a first degree, finance in my master's, and I was going to take my professional exams, but this person said, no, you don't need it. You're going to work with me in the church. You're never going to need that, So in fact, my dad wasn't happy with me. I was like, why would you not take a professional exam and build a career? What did I send you to school for? But I was married, so he didn't really have much say at that point in time. And before I forget, my dad actually didn't also like the man. So that was one of the signs. When I told my dad that this is the person I wanted to marry, he says, I don't like the man. I don't like the boy. He didn't know why, but he just didn't like him. But he allowed me because I told him, okay, that's the person I want to marry. I wanted to marry. So all along the line, I will hear those voices, you're a problem in my life. So I started to feel as if this person was doing me a favor, that I wasn't good enough, that nobody likes you. Actually tells me that, people don't like you. Oh yes. Wow. Oh yes. They don't like, people don't like you. It's because of me that they are talking to you. It will start to make me feel as if anything I do is not good enough. Anytime there's a problem, it is my fault. If you forget to stay at home, it is me. It is my fault. Anything at all that other people do, it is my fault. It will talk down at me in front of other people. So all of this started making me feel useless, feel worthless. And there's something about the power of words, which is why I'm actually now advocating that we need to actually start defining psychological and emotional abuse. Because again, in the recent times, and which I'm going to talk about this on my show on Monday, I've had a conversation with some people and they're beginning to say, oh, my wife is abusing me, my husband is abusing me. And it's as if they are now making light of this. This thing is not a joke. So what actually is abuse? What actually is not abuse? Because it's very easy for us to commonize it and make joke of it. And then the real people, the real victims, are now left hanging. They are not getting help. There's chaos. Okay, so when this person started telling me all of these things, I actually started believing it. That is the power of words. So when he says you are stupid, I believed I was stupid. And guess what? I would do stupid things.
I was just going to say that.
That is the power of words. See, the Bible says God created the whole world by his words. Which is why we really need to be extra careful. I was saying yesterday that we cannot overemphasize the importance of you not tolerating abuse or staying in an abusive relationship. I don't want to be a spoiler, but I want to believe everybody has watched at least the first episode of Blood Sisters. Oh my goodness. Okay. It cannot come in a more timely time. It cannot just be more timely, because that is a typical example of the consequences of you tolerating abuse. A typical example. Because, there was actually a real life case in the UK some years ago where this woman was being abuse, it was even psychological. There was no physical abuse for so many years, about 20 something years. And one day the woman got up and stabbed the man 11 times and the man died. And they put her in life imprisonment. She was the victim. And when she did that, she was not in her right frame of mind. But hey,
because
she has killed somebody. Now, years later, our children got up, started saying their mother was being abused. There was a lot of things. Then they enacted this act, Coercive Control Act 2015, and eventually they acquitted and discharged the woman. Yes, she's out.
Good.
She's living her life. But guess what? She still has to carry that guilt for the rest of her life that she has killed a human being.
Yeah.
Don't allow yourself to get to that point. It's not worth it. People need to know that it is not worth it.
Where not just that you end up killing someone, or you even become the victim, the one who gets killed.
Yeah. I mean that one, everybody knows that most likely is that you get killed. But you can get killed. What if you now kill somebody and you are the victim? My goodness. So for me, I became a shadow of myself. I lost self-esteem. It got to a point that I would just stand there anytime he's saying anything, and I just agree to everything. I didn't even have the strength to try and explain that it's not like that. This is what happened. I was just like a zombie.
You were just taking everything.
I was just like a zombie. He would take my phone, check my phone, question, why is this person sending me a message? Why is that person? It got to a point I stopped relating to people. People would send me messages like this on my phone. I don't even read it, talk less of replying. I was tired on my inside. And you know what else this kind of trauma does to people is chipping away the soul of the victim. I normally say there are 3 ways the abuser kills their victim. So it's the first obvious way, beat the person to death, push them down the stairs, do something, run them over. I've heard all sorts of things, and the person dies. Everybody, he has killed the person. Now, second way, which usually happens when somebody is in a psychological and emotional abuse, is little by little, their soul start getting chipped away. So it's like you are spirit, soul, and you are body. And when you lose your soul, you are gone, you are dead. So little by little, all the words is like you have an apple. Every negative words or negative treatment, you're biting the apple. You are biting the apple. And then one day, the victim just sleeps and they don't wake up. And like, nothing was wrong with him, nothing was wrong with her. He just slept and he didn't wake up. What about all these years? It's like you've been killing that person slowly with your words, with your behavior to them. So inside them, they just give up because they are dying. A lot of people are walking around, but they are dead. They are standing up, dressing up, making up, but inside there's nothing. They're dead. And it's only a matter of time. They will just go. Now, the third way is because medical research has proven that about 90% of the illnesses and diseases that we experience in our physical bodies are a result of stress, toxic stress. And so sometimes being in these situations, we also degenerate. So you are carrying so much inside you, especially if you're in a relationship where you don't have anybody you can confide in, you can talk to, which was my own situation. There was nobody I could speak to. So you just keep carrying everything on your inside, and then it starts degenerating into high blood pressure, into depression, into irritable bowel syndrome. In my own case, I had tumors on my shoulder. I had cancerous tumor on my shoulder. So I had to undergo an operation.
It's related to the abuse you were going through.
It is related.
Because I've also had someone on the show, a Nollywood actress, who also suffered cancer while she was going through abuse. Wow.
It is very, very related. In fact, psychologists will tell you that if you have pain in certain areas of your body, it is related to a certain kind of stress that you are going through.
Wow.
So if, for instance, you are having pain on your shoulder, constant pain on your shoulder, you're carrying the burden of a spouse. Now, in my own case, it wasn't just pain. It actually
Wow.
degenerated into cancerous tumor. I had the operation done here in the UK, and in the Royal Marsden Hospital, they said to me that in so many years of doing this job, we have not removed cancerous tumor from somebody's shoulder before. It was a very weird place for tumors to go, that they even had to do a graft because there was no skin there. When by the time they removed it, they had to do a graft from my leg to put there on the shoulder just to make the place look as, presentable as possible, even though it's not
Yeah.
anywhere near presentable. But this was the result of the abuse. In some instances, people die from things like that. It might be another kind of disease that will kill them, and they wonder, oh, the person died of heart failure, of this one. It was the abuse.
This is really shocking, but this is the second time that I'm hearing it, and I've heard it, but because it's not been proven and we've not followed the science, because sometimes you need to follow the science and the relationship between these things. Yeah. But so the person doesn't even have to physically kill you. You
No.
can die from, getting,
Heart,
cancer.
there's something called heartbreak. You know how heartbreak can kill somebody because it's your soul.
Yeah, yeah.
When you give up, if you've heard of, I know of quite a few people who've had life-threatening diseases, and they will tell them that, oh, you're going to be fine. So these people have, okay, we're fine. They're going to greet them in the hospital. They are fighting. When somebody's fighting for their life, it's all happening in the mind. And then one day the person just says, I'm tired of fasting. I'm tired of trying. I'm tired. I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired. Within a few days, that person will die.
When I was in the hospital, this reminds me, when I was in the hospital, after I had my baby, I was ill for a while. And then the doctors kept saying, we don't know what's wrong. We're trying everything. Oh God, they carried out all the tests they could carry out. They gave me all the antibiotics and all the treatments that, they thought could resolve the issue. And they kept coming back to tell me, we're not seeing anything wrong with your blood. We don't know why you're not responding to treatment. Okay. Then one of the midwives actually told me, we've never had a case like yours before. We've never had a woman give birth in the hospital and stay more than 10 days. I was going on 30 days in the hospital after I had my baby. So complications from childbirth. After childbirth, in fact, it wasn't even during the process here. And one of the midwives that I had become really friendly with came to me one day and said, "Say, the next time I come to this room," because I wasn't walking, I couldn't walk. Yeah. She said, the next time I come, they called her in. She wasn't on duty that she wasn't assigned to me on that particular day. But the person assigned to me needed help lifting me from the bed to the wheelchair. And so she called her. And she said to me, the next time I come into this room, in fact, I don't even want to come into this room and see you here. I want you to have been discharged from the high deficiency unit to the normal unit, that they attend to women who just give birth. I don't want to see you here. You need to fight. Now it's up to you. It's in your hands. You're the one who needs to desire the healing enough to push yourself. I know it's hard. I know you can't move your legs, but you need to start willing it from inside of your mind. I took that advice and I started to I just started to will it. These legs will move. They have to move. You don't have a choice. And so from not being able to lift myself from the bed, I gradually started to do that. And so I wouldn't need help until I've sat up straight on the bed. And then from that, I wouldn't need help until I put my feet on the floor. And gradually like that, I got myself back together. So yes, I do believe it. It's something that every individual has to fight for themselves. Before I go on to the next question, let's take some comments from our viewers. Temitokme says, exactly, I saw Blood Sisters yesterday and it's a typical example of the danger of staying in an abusive relationship. And Linda Ofodili says, killing the person slowly. Psychological abuse is the least recognized. Yes, it is the least recognized. People don't pay attention to it. Because if you tell someone that you're not happy in your marriage, something is not right in your marriage, they will ask you, is it beating you? No. Is it providing for the house? Yes. So what is the problem? And I know I've told a friend that before. Sadly, I remember that I've told a friend who was complaining about, the way her husband treated her, and I said, he's not beating you. He's not, what else did I say? I mentioned some instances. I compared it to another friend's marriage, which was really way off, and I said, look, he's not doing any of those things for you, there to you. He's providing everything that you need, please. There are people who have it worse. I don't need you to. If you leave this marriage, me, I won't even get married, because she's one of the strongest people I know. So I was like, if you're complaining, me, I don't know how I want to get married and stay in marriage. If you that I know can tolerate a lot is thinking in this line, So a lot of times you overlook those things, and they're also important. They're as important as physical. The physical affects you physically, emotionally, psychologically.
Yeah.
But the psychological and emotional ones don't affect you physically. So if he's not hitting you, it doesn't mean that
Yes.
he's still not abusing you. So these are things that we need to keep sensitizing people about. And not just women. We also need to
Absolutely.
sensitize men. Because like the video that I played, the music video that I played, the boy was a product of an abusive environment, an abusive home. And that became him. Okay, like you were saying the other time, how all the words that he was saying to you gradually began to take roots in your mind, and you started to see yourself as those things. This boy was experiencing his father do that to his mom. He didn't like it as a child, but before he knew it, he grew up to be the exact same thing that his father was.
Yeah.
You get me? And so that's how in the UK, you live in the UK.
Yeah.
The UK government sees children who live in abusive homes, right? They may not be the ones experiencing the abuse, but they are also, classified as victims of abuse.
Second-hand victims, yeah.
Of abuse. Okay, so it's all related, and we need to, trash all of these issues. We need to keep talking to people. The people who say, "Oh, I'm staying because of my kids," you need to leave because of your kids. Because even if this man does not end up killing you, he's going to destroy the life, the mind of your children, to the point that they will be the exact same thing that their father is, even without knowing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all, Linda says, it's all in the mind. Thank you, ladies. Yes, it's all in the mind. We need to keep constantly working on our minds. Okay, so at what point did you think you were ready to leave? At what point had you had enough?
Well, the first time that I had to leave, my mentor, there was an incident, that happened again, and I called my mentor that, he has started again, and she got really upset, asked, for my parents' contact, and she called my dad. That was the first time my dad was going to hear, and it was like, this has been going on all these years. You didn't say anything. Why didn't you say anything? Oh, I said I felt ashamed. I felt I disappointed you. I'd let you down. And it was like, no, nonsense. That, you're my child. It doesn't matter what's going on. Anyway, I, went back home then, and he came. The man came with his family. They came to apologize. They're not going to do it again, blah, 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 all of that. And I went back, unfortunately, it didn't stop. It continued, and I think I got to a point. Yeah. So at a point, even before the first time I left, I had overdosed because I was in so much pain in my soul. I just felt if I, took all those medication and died, the pain would disappear.
Wow.
But he after that, a few months before I left, my soul, it was as if your soul is being sucked away. I became a shadow of myself. I just felt life was over. In my mind, it was like an acute state of depression. I was weak physically. I just looked like a ghost or like a zombie that was walking around. And I just felt something was really, really, really wrong then. I could not put my finger on it. Of course, at this point, I'd prayed, I'd done everything, and we weren't like, there was really even no communication, as it were, and there was now a day that I went out and there was an incident in public, and for me it was as if that incident caught something in me. I just felt, that's it, I can't do this again. So even though at that point I'd had like 2 mentors who now know about what was going on, and they told me that you need to leave, you can't keep staying here.
Okay.
Somewhere in my mind, like you said, they've told me for so many years that it's the devil, you have to stay here, you don't have a life outside of this man. So it's like all of those things are going on in your mind, and you're just thinking, okay, what will happen to my... And my brother told me something. I remember, at the earliest stages that I left, because even after I left, the church people were still trying to tell me to go back and everything. And that, look, which one is better? Bringing up children in a home where there's a lot of toxicity, stress, all of these things is there, or bringing up a home with just one, when both parents are, or with one parent in a calm, peaceful environment. Which one do you think is actually better for that child? So think about it. And what you're doing is you are helping those children to create their normal. Mm-hmm. I did say at the beginning that a lot of people, some people that go through parental abuse, childhood abuse, they end up marrying somebody that abuses them. Why? Okay. Because the abuse has become their normal. So that's what they saw growing up. That was normal to them. So when they meet somebody who treated them well, it'll be like, this is abnormal. How can you be nice to me? How can you be talking to me kindly? This is so abnormal. So when they meet somebody that is very harsh with them and calls them stupid, that is what they will be attracted to, because that is their normal. Which is why it's so important, if you've been through trauma, childhood trauma, what kind of trauma, to go through therapy and heal. Because if you don't heal, like they say, if you don't heal what caught you, if you don't heal who hurt you, you will cut on people, you will bleed on people who didn't cut you. It's so important. And then to help those children, this is not normal. So as either the man or the woman who is being abused, when you exit, you are telling the children that this is abnormal.
Okay. And that's why we need to leave.
Yeah, that this is your action is showing them that this is abnormal. This is not normal. Something is wrong here. So the child knows when they grow up in the future that dealing with a woman like this, treating a woman like this is wrong. Treating a man like this is wrong, because abuse is not gender biased. It can be either way. I know men who have been abused by their wives, who had to exit, who had to run for their lives. So abuse is not gender biased. So for me, I got to that point where it's like, if you have a rubber band, you keep pulling that rubber band, you keep pulling it, it snaps back, you pull it, it snaps back. One day, and a lot of us ladies actually know about this. When you're using rubber band to pack maybe your braids, you know how you keep using the same rubber band over and over again. Snap. And then one day you just try to pack it and the thing snaps. For me, that was it. That day, it was as if I just snapped. Something snapped. And I was like, that's it. No, I don't want to die. No, I could literally smell death. Wow. And I think for me, it was that second example of how victims kill how abusers kill their victims. That second one of their soul is being chipped away.
Gradually. That
you are literally smelling that you're about to go. That it's all, they've taken everything.
Yeah.
They have sucked the life out of you. And when that incident happened that day, and I called my dad, I said, Daddy, I can't stay here again. I can't stay in this marriage again. My dad just said, where are you? I'm going to send a car to come and pick you. He didn't
question. This was in Nigeria.
This was in Nigeria. I was in Nigeria at that point in time. Okay. He didn't question me. He didn't ask me what happened this time, because normally he would call me, like, since he knew about it, like every other day, he would ask me how I'm doing, am I okay and everything. He would just, encourage me and everything. But this time he just said, that's fine. And my dad is an Anglican priest. So again, there's so many, which is, you said the role of the family and friends is to support. Let us remove religion and culture from our mind. Let us, for once, be pragmatic and ask ourselves, this religion that I'm in, the person that is using this religion, the person that I'm praying to, will they be happy if somebody dies because I'm trying to uphold a religion?
Yeah.
The culture I'm trying to say, our culture, in our culture, is that culture worth the blood of a human being?
Let me stop you right there. Does our culture encourage men to hit their wives, to maltreat their women? Because that's another thing we need to address. It's like I feel that people are lying on the culture, or lying against the culture. I don't know where it's written, cast on stone that this culture says that it is normal for a man to beat on a woman.
You know, the truth is, the culture is not cast in stone anywhere. It's just something that we keep doing and we get used to. So I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is have a glass of water. You know, a lot of us have a culture of going on Instagram when we wake up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of us have a culture of so many things, putting on TV. It's not cast in stone anywhere. So imagine if in a family, your culture, everybody's culture is wake up in the morning, take a glass of water, do some aerobics. That's a very nice culture. I'm using that example. That's what I want to, have that culture in my life, healthy culture. Now, the whole family, they will incorporate that culture. They will pass it on to the next generation and the next generation. And then they will say, it is our culture. It was never written anywhere. So, because back in the day, it was our great-grandfathers, our fathers, when they are going to the farm, and they have several wives, they will just carry the cutlass. The women will carry the baskets and everything, the yam. They will do this one. They will come back home. The women in the culture, our culture, the women were, like they say, their place was in the kitchen. It's not the woman will not be the one to have a farm, to go and be farming. It's the man that does it. The woman is just there, to have children, to cook. So that became the culture. So even when we moved from the rural to the urban, people still had at the back of their mind that the man, and they will say, the man is the head of the home. The man is the king. He's your master. He's your lord. And then a lot of times we also mix religion and culture together, which even makes it worse. We quote the scriptures out of context. So we tell woman, you're the virtuous woman, and is a wise woman built up her home. Excuse me, have you? We need to go and read that Proverbs 31 woman and picture it as you are reading it and see whether it's the kind of woman that they are asking people to be. That woman who doesn't have a voice. That woman who will be, yes, sir, who will be. That woman was not like that. The Bible says she got up in the morning and give a portion to her maids. Not one maid, though. The woman had maids. She was a big woman by all standards. She had her own businesses. She was, my goodness, time will not allow us, to go deep into it. But I think our culture, but again, the culture is there. You don't have to follow it. Everybody makes a choice. I said abuse is a choice. The fact that you even grew up in an abusive home doesn't mean that you should automatically become an abuser. You make that choice.
You decide.
Because there can be two children born of the same parent, and one will say, oh, I grew up in abject poverty. We didn't have any money. So what's the point? I'm just going to not bother to be hardworking. And the other one will say, oh my goodness, I grew up in abject poverty. I'm never going to experience poverty again in my life. I'm going to work so hard. And I'll be very wealthy. Two people from the same family, they made two different choices. So you could have seen it and tell yourself, I'm not going to do that. Like that boy in the music video we played, he said, I don't want to be like him.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want to be like him. Another one will make a choice to just be exactly like him. So at the end of the day, it's still the choice. It is still the choice of the abuser.
I think it's the choice of both parties, though. Because for me, listen, I grew up in an environment where I experienced different kinds of abuse. Okay, so let's just put it down to um let me talk about the psychological and emotional abuse, mental, that I went through. And it was gradually, it was a mind thing. I was gradually becoming what I detested. Okay. And at some point, I had to look myself in the mirror and tell myself the bitter hard truth. I said, no, this is not who you are. This is not who you want to be. Okay. What you're showing off right now is exactly who you're running away from. That's what you're becoming. So I was the victim in that situation, but I came out of it and I said, I don't want to become like that. I don't want to bleed on people who didn't cause. So in my book, one of my popular quotes in my book is, hurt people won't hurt people if hurt people heal. So I decided to work on healing, because I realized that as long as I was not, healed, I was, doing the same thing to other people.
True.
You get what I'm saying? So I made that decision. So victims can also make, in the case of domestic violence, you can make the decision to leave. You can make the decision to fight for your life.
True.
And for the life of your children. If you don't even love yourself anymore, if you don't even believe in yourself anymore, hello, what about your children? Okay, what about them? You can do it because of them, because you don't want them to be like their father. Or in this case now, you don't want them to be like whoever the abuser is. So whether it's the female who is being abusive or the male, you don't want them to be like that, your partner. You take them out. So you live because of them. It's a decision you have to make. And then for the abusers, you can also, like the boy in the video, look at yourself and say, I don't want to be this thing. Like I was talking about my friend that didn't speak up for 9 years. When we check the history of the man's family, the father did it. All his siblings were doing it to their wives.
Yeah.
So that was a family culture. You're talking about culture, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's cast in stone that men from this particular tribe, they do this. No, that family was like that, and it had become. And members of that family would reach out to her to tell her, stay. You can't leave. We will talk to our brother. We kept hearing things like that, and she kept leaving and going, leaving. I staged an intervention, and at a point, I just hands up and said, you know what? I'm not praying for this, but if I get a phone call that, he's ended it for you, I'm not going to be surprised, because I don't understand why you keep going back. You get what I'm saying? So yes, they both need to make the decision. And more importantly, I believe in catching them young. So it's difficult to change.
Sorry, it looks as if your audio just went down.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
So it's difficult to change a grown man, but we can start with the minds and reorientation of the young minds of our children, of the children around us. And it's not just my biological children I'm talking about. It's not just your biological children you're talking about. When you see the signs in and around you, because that's one of the things that makes this situation worse. When we see things and we decide to mind our businesses.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my child. It's not in my family.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? Okay, so they're talking about, I'm seeing some comments in the, let's see, Buki is talking about blood sister. The way our partners say is just a slap is normal in the African man. And Temitope says culture evolves. There is room for improvement. I agree with that. Yeah, Babati says the points, Buki, it's actually the mother of the bride that told her daughter not to leave because of personal gains from her in-laws, and then said she shouldn't leave because of just one slap. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen it. My husband has started watching it, so yeah, I'm gonna catch up. Don't let us be
spoilers.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's amazing how. Look, I need to touch on this. I didn't want to, but let's touch on it a bit, okay? The gospel singer that recently passed away due to domestic violence. I even stopped following that story because now everybody's going to come and twist. And my biggest issue was all of the friends and family that were now coming out to say, oh, he's done it. Oh, where were they when it was happening? Your father went and picked you up. Your father took you from when you called him and told him you were done, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a cousin whose father who did the same thing, because he said, if you die, I lose a child, he will remarry. I will not be
True.
able to replace you. You understand, in my life. So he went and he got his child out. Okay. So for me, what happened in her situation? Now I watched, I heard about her mother's interview, that she said she had actually gone to take her out at a point. She lived with her for a year, and somehow she went back. She went back because of what you were saying about the mind. The man had worked on her mind so much that she believed it was her cross to bear. And it wasn't just the man. In my opinion, the spirit, whoever her spiritual leader was as well. That's another thing. The people that we look up to, what's their role? What are they saying to victims? It's important, because it's important, and it always helps a victim decide which way to go. So before someone decides I'm walking out, they are looking up to someone. What is this person saying about this situation? Okay, am I going to? I don't know if they feel like if I don't do what this person is saying, then I'm disappointing them or I'm disappointing God. We have to look beyond all of that. But what's your take on that particular situation?
It's all the mindset. It's all a mindset, which is, sometimes when I want to get people really talking and thinking in my master classes, I will ask them, man is a tripartite being, he has a spirit, soul, and a body. Which one is most important? And everybody will be thinking, they will say spirit. It's spirit, it's spirit, it's spirit, it's spirit, it's spirit. I'll say, okay.
That's so bad.
I'll say, oh, it's okay. And I'll give an analogy. I will say, okay, take for instance, let me even say the person is a pastor. This pastor is very spiritual. Of course, the pastor, he sees visions, he prophesies, and is good looking, and this pastor is very wealthy. And, let's say single. And then you're a lady, you see this pastor, and, you always want to go to him to pray for you and everything. You discuss things with him. And then you hear that, oh, something has happened to this man. He's been diagnosed with psychosis. Now he's in an institution. Are you going to go to that institution and say, please, I want to see my pastor? He needs to pray for me. I need that anointing. My pastor is anointed. You're going to go to that institution. Excuse you. The man will even look at you and say, huh? Have I met him before? Go away. Is there anything wrong with the man's spirit? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with his spirit. But there's something wrong with his soul. There's something wrong with his mind. And because something is wrong with his soul, it cannot function spiritually, it cannot function physically. This is why 3 John 3 says, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So the mind is your most greatest asset. If somebody messes up with your mind, they've messed up with your life. That is why the Bible says, guard your heart with all diligence. Guard your soul with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. If you want to destroy somebody, destroy their mind. That's all. How do people scam people? How do they scam? They start telling them, oh, let's say the romance scams now. I love you, you are the sugar in my tea, you are the this one. They enter their mind. The person will not know when they will give all their life savings to this person.
True.
How? They will not do it to me if they're meeting me the first time. But they have entered my mind that even family members will be telling me that, he wants to cheat, he said, no, he loves me. Mind. Which is why I said something when this news came out and people were blaming the victim and say, oh, she should have left. They do that to love. I said, I'm sorry, shut up. Because you have not walked in our shoes. You don't understand what is going on in our mind. 4 quick ways to help victims of domestic violence and abuse. First thing, believe them. Because sometimes when victims come, I know a lot of people that I told my story, they're like, really? She's lying. It's okay. It's my story. It's my truth. I don't need you to believe me. But it helps. And this is because I have grown. I have healed. That's why, for me, if you don't believe me right now, I'm not bothered. But at a point, I wanted people to believe me because I felt I was deluded. Because this person told me I was deluded. I felt I was crazy. So believe them. Number 2, be patient with them. Understand that they are not in the same frame of mind that you are in. They are not thinking the way you are thinking. Understand that their mind has been messed up. Be patient with them. If you're trying to advise them, go out, come back. If they're, just be patient with them and be there. Be close, be there, be like a hawk, be there for them. That before they start dialing your number, you have picked, you are in their house already. Be there. Then number 4, be empathetic. Just show them empathy. Don't try to explain things. And it's because of this one, it's because of that one. Bible talked about Job, that when Job, initially had his trauma, it was a traumatic situation, and his friends came. They met Job on the floor. Job was sitting down on the floor. And the son is like, this is not Job, our friend. The Bible said they sat down with Job on the floor for 7 days and 7 nights. That's empathy at its height. I'm here. We don't have to start. Sometimes we try to explain everything. Sometimes don't explain. Just be there.
Just be there. Just be there.
Just be there. Just let them know that I'm here. Anytime you need anything, I'm here. Just hello, Bola. Hi, I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you. All right, then take care. Love you. Bye. Just be there. And then number 4, this one is my favorite. Take matters into your own hand.
Thank you. Okay.
Which is what I think that we missed with Osinachi.
Yeah.
Take that. See, if my mentor did not take matters into our own hands, I probably won't be here. I probably would be there today. If she did not say, that's it, I'm calling your parents, you are leaving that place today. Because I didn't have the guts, I didn't have the strength, I didn't have what it took to tell people who will help me, to tell my parents. So even when I could in the UK call the police, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the strength to do it. So sometimes when you see that this person is in grave danger, go and speak to somebody that has influence. Somebody that you know can go there and remove somebody. One of my friends was telling me that their cousin was being abused and everything. And this person said, she gathered forces. She took the police, and she went to the house and removed the woman by force. So sometimes you have to think that a life is at risk. What can I do? Who can I tell? You know that there's that person, if it's religious, there's that person that if this person here, they will not sit down. So the 4th thing is sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands. And like you said, so it's not every time that you mind your business. When a life is, even if you are not sure, go and talk to, this is what I heard, this person's wife is stabbing them with that. This is what, let people know. In the multitude of counselors, there's safety.
And that's why I feel really bad. I feel like her voice could have been, her death could have been avoided.
Oh, yes.
Death, and so many other women's deaths could have been avoided if the people around her had spoken up.
Yeah.
If the people around her had said, no, we're taking you out.
Don't tell anybody. Don't say, they are not in their right senses.
Yeah. Like when her mom took her away, what her mother could have done differently was now work on her mind again. Because I heard a story of a popular US pastor as well, whose daughter went through the same thing. And then he went and took her out. And then while she was with him, he started to work on her damaged mind again. He started to teach her to love herself again. Because if you don't, they will go back.
Yeah, true. Very true.
They will go back.
Very true.
Yeah, and I like what you said about just be there. Yeah, because sometimes we need to know how to step in, not just stepping in. So like a friend of mine called me and said, one of our friends was going through something. And then this other one called me and said, she's not listening to me. I'm trying to advise her. And I said, why are you advising her? Did she ask you for your advice?
Exactly.
I know you're trying to be there for her, but can you be there for her on her own terms, not on your terms? You're thinking, this is what she needs right now. Ask her what she needs. Let her tell you. When I call her, I don't ask her. I don't say, I don't say, this is what I think you should do. I say, how are you? What do you want to talk? Are you good? Stuff like that. And then I just listen to her. So be there for her on her own terms. Okay, so we're going to round up quickly. But before that, let's take a few more comments, and then you round up with your advice for people who are still going through the situation and are afraid to leave. Babati says, if it's not working, please waka. Please waka, yes. And Kalu says, they tell you it's a form of correction. You made me do it. You were talking too much. And then Wumi says, I think most African women are not bold enough to leave such a relationship because of what people will say. How do we support these people? What people will say. That's another issue we need to deal with. Kewe Osajere says, for me, religion were the
Maybe
biggest
was. She meant to say
culprit.
was the biggest.
The biggest culprit in Osinachi's situation. I agree. I may be wrong, but I believe family and friends gave their best. Okay. Temitope says the gospel singers, friends, and family all said they pleaded with her to leave. Victims don't just leave. If they leave because you tell them to, they are likely to return. Okay. And Tokwe still says, this is why I think it's their mind, self-esteem we need to try and help them build. Then they are empowered to decide on their own to leave. Tokwe, that's a good point, Miss Jola. Grace, be there like a hawk. It's a labor of love. And Chikodi says, you just said it. People don't want to hear from you, but tell you what to do and how to do it. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us. Before I let you go, I know our time is fast spent. What would you say we're talking about friends and family and their role. Okay, so let's put it down to that. We in your in this whole gist, you've talked about how victims need to take the stand and leave and all of that. But I want you to emphasize to friends and families of people who are going through abuse, what they can do to help these people more. I believe in intervention. What's your take on that? So if this person is refusing to leave, what do we do?
Of course, intervention is so key and is so critical. And the good book says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. So a lot of times, what we don't know is what is killing us. Even though they say what you don't know can kill you, that's actually fallacy. A lot of times it's what you don't know that is killing you. So the truth is, once you see the signs there, okay, you as is somebody that is speaking to that person and making them believe that what is happening to them is normal. So you to start speaking to them. If you have access to them, start speaking to them, be sending them articles, be as much as you can. Like I said, if it's getting to a dangerous level, find somebody, speak to an authority. If you are in an environment where you can speak to social worker, you can call the police, do so. I mean, here in the UK, sometimes a neighbor will just see that, okay, maybe a child or something, they will call the police, and the police will go there, oh, we got information that the child is left alone, or that there's some noise here, we just came to check that everything is fine. Whatever it is that you can do where you are, keep doing it. Just don't say, oh, we've told her and she didn't answer, I'm just going to leave her alone. Keep doing it. Keep bombarding them with much information as possible. So we cannot leave them alone. If someone is manipulating their mind, we need to input, because the truth is, after my family got to know, and so it was 16 years altogether. It was at the 15th year that my family got to know that I left for the first time. So that 1 year, the 1 year that my family got to know my family was involved in my life and they were calling me, things were so different. In fact, I believe it was one of the things that also made me eventually leave finally, because I started seeing things differently. Other people's perspective were there. I knew that the situation I was in was wrong. So in my mind, I started processing that this is not right. This is wrong. But hitherto, I kind of felt it was okay. It was just the devil. It was a
Yeah.
bad situation. So the thing is, be there for them, be speaking to them, get them information as much as possible. Just don't give up. That's just it. Don't give up.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been really, really inspiring. And I hope that as many people who have joined us today will have takeaways. I have a lot of takeaways, and I know how better to help friends and family who are going through it. And if you're a victim and you're here and you're watching the show now or the replay, please, you need to make that decision. You need to leave. Find support systems. There are support systems everywhere, springing up every day
Online.
around you.
And you
Just
know,
search.
it's easier now because I knew one of the issues I had then was I wanted confidentiality and discretion with
Discretion,
whoever I
okay.
was speaking to, but I couldn't get it then. But now you can go online, you can Google, you can just find a way, you know, to keep yourself, to keep your mental health okay. Find a way to be sane, because some people are not dead, but they are dead because they are in mental institutions and they are useless. And you really don't want to be like that. So you must protect your mind.
Thank you all. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so yet. I appreciate you guys for joining us today. Thank you for all your comments and your suggestions and your input. Until next time on Gist with Esse, remember, stay positive, stay happy, stay mended.